Hey, all right, we're going to try again for the first episode of Drinking Buddies, where hopefully we're going to be talking to our good friend, the Chai Beer Guy in Chicago. And we're going to be drinking some delicious, juicy, hazy IPAs today. So, all right, Brady Chai Beer Guy, if you're there, say hello, and we can drink. There you are. Boop. I am booping him in. Ooh, I'm excited to talk about this Brouwerij West Picnic Lightning.
Hey!
Hey!
All right,
We did it.
All right. Okay.
I still have that echo.
I'm not wearing a hat, so
Man.
it's still strange.
I'm going to turn down my
volume here.
Does that help?
Does that help?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All
All
right.
right.
So, if you want to go first, Brady, and tell us a little bit about the Hazy IPA in Chicago
that you have for us.
Yes, sir. I'm seeing if I can keep this up straight first. With my phone here. Making him a little bit of problem. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. So, well, first and foremost, I just want to say welcome to the people out there that are watching us. This is our first episode of Drinking Buddies. Our first episode. So, I'm excited. Well, real quick, I'm going to share this to my page. Start a little bit of a watch party, and then we can go from there. Perfect. All right. You can hear me just fine, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I'm going to start up a little bit of a watch party. Okay. All right. So, sorry about the delay. Let me grab my beer. Give me 1 second. I'm not prepared.
Oh, no.
I had to throw it in the fridge for a second because we had some technical difficulties. So, bam, hazy IPA.
Whoa.
Pretty hazy looking stuff. I just want to welcome everybody that's watching. We got people rolling in. Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. I get to invite people. Okay, cool.
What's your favorite game?
I'm losing you a little bit. I can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me?
A little bit better. It's kind of muffled a little bit,
Okay.
but I think we can work with it. All right. So thank you to everybody that is watching. This is our first episode of Drinking Buddies. So Phil and I decided to start this and basically open it to the public for anybody that wants to join us along and drink some fine craft beer. So today we chose some hazy IPAs. With me, I've got, this is a collaboration beer between Little Beaver Brewing, which is a new brewery in the south suburbs, I believe, of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, guys. But Little Beaver Brewery and a local bottle shop that I've done a handful of segments at, Crafted 1979 in Mokina. Super cool. So this is the Lord of the Peach Rings. It is a hazy sour milkshake IPA with peaches and milk sugar. So very, very interesting beer. As you guys can see, I know it might be backwards, but again, a hazy sour milkshake IPA with peaches and milk sugar. So right here. So what do you think?
By the good folks It's really echoing. But you can see what the and IPA, which I'm going to pour now. Out of the Pedro.
All right, let me down here.
Oh wow!
I think we're having some audio issues on your end there, Phil.
Let me try to go to a different place. I don't know if it's super close to the computer. No, it didn't help.
A little bit. It's kind of fading in and out. Hopefully, people at home can hear you. Everybody else. But anyway,
a little bit.
It's in and out. All right. Well, we can just. Yeah. Jake says that there's echoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours is a little wonky. Do you want to put the headphones back on? That seemed to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was better.
All right, well, you drink
Well, to those out there watching, we decided to do this to, first of all, for us to kind of just have some banter back and forth and, just do what drinking buddies do and sit around and have some beer and talk about it. So we decided to pick some hazy IPAs from our local areas and see how they stacked up against one another. So again, me being here in Chicago, Phil over there in Southern California, we basically just wanted to see how these beers stack up against one another. Obviously, I chose a very out there, very different style hazy IPA, but I'm interested to see what Phil picked. So, Phil, why don't you test it out? Let me make sure I can hear you.
All right.
How are we doing now?
Oh, so much better.
Very good.
Well, if you guys
didn't hear me before, this is from Brouwerij West.
Out of San Pedro, California. And they have this picnic Lightening, which is a cool little, it's like a bunny getting electrocuted. And it's actually really tasty. What I love about hazy IPAs is they take that sort of like severe hotness out of the IPA and kind of make it more citrusy forward. So as a big IPA fan, that's why I love this. This one's really delicious.
Awesome. So it for you, and I think for most people as well, because I can agree with you, I like hazy IPAs because it kind of tapers down the bitterness that you'll catch in a lot of more traditional IPAs. With this particular style, it's super fun to try because it's usually more fruit forward. There's a lot of fruity overtones as opposed to undertones. So that's a lot of fun. I think that there's so much variation that goes on with the style that even though a lot of breweries are making this style, a lot of them can be considered different from one another. So, Phil, why don't you go first? Explain what you're tasting with your particular beer. I know mine is going to be much different because it's a hazy sour milkshake IPA and super different.
This one has sort of citrusy notes, like kind of over. It's like it smells like layering right over the hops. So it still kind of has that hop bomb to it, but it's like right on top of it. I can feel sort of the citrus fighting the hops. But it's like really smooth too. So.
Okay. Does it finish dry? Is it a dry hop? Do you think it's a dry hop beer? Does it specify on the can or?
I believe it's a dry hop. I actually have. Right here, I was looking up sort of there.
It's barley and raw wheat and kind of citrusy hops. I think that's like really bringing that flavor forward.
Okay. What sort of fruity notes are you catching on the mid palate?
Sort of orangey. It's kind of like orangey, right? Yeah, kind of orange.
Anything tropical going on?
A little tropical, Mm. Yeah, almost like an orange kind of guava type taste to it, which is really good. Like I said, it kind of just lays like right over the hops.
Okay.
This is good. I highly recommend Brewer, which West side in Southern California, San Pedro. Actually, I'll probably save this guy, but they do. I guess they do a couple Hazy IPAs. The other one they offer is the 8.5 Mosaic. As you can see, a lot of fruit going on right there. So.
Awesome. This is the beer that I brought to the party is definitely going to be a lot different than what you're drinking over there. It seems like yours probably finishes a little bit more dry. It's a dry hopped IPA.
Yeah.
This particular beer is super interesting. It's definitely very, very. It's almost bordering on not a beer, kind of. It's a hazy sour milkshake, so you're kind of lumping styles there together, depending on how you think about it. But off the bat, it's super, super, very mild hops on the front end. Nothing crazy.
Nice.
You don't get it. There's not a whole lot of lingering bitterness at all. It's definitely on the side. You get very, very upfront peach with some mild tartness, and then on the back end, kind of like a lactose full body and some residual sweetness as well. So it's kind of
okay.
It does. I think the name is very fitting, Lord of the Peach Rings. I think it's very fitting, considered, because it does taste like a peach ring almost. If you recall, like you've got the bottom layer that's some really sweet, sugary kind of layer, and then on top it's a little bit sugary with that peachiness. But once you kind of, I don't know if you're like me and you like to savor the flavor, but I'll eat a peach ring and just hold on to it for a while and let that top layer of sugar kind of disintegrate, and then you got a little bit of tart kind of peach flavor on the top of the ring. So that's pretty much exactly what it tastes like in terms of the flavor profile. It's very upfront peach and some mild tartness, but very full-bodied from the lactose.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what the ABV is on this beer. What are you looking at on the alcohol percentage?
This one right here I have is a 6.5%.
6.5?
Which is pretty decent. I mean, it's not like a super strong IPA. I usually head towards the IPAs because they have a really good beer math, where you can get a real bang for your buck with a higher ABV. But I think this kind of works well for the style of beer. It's not too aggressive.
Okay. That's what I like to call a happy medium with that particular ABV. I like to call that a happy medium. Sorry, I'm moving my camera over here.
Dominic says chug it. I don't know. I'm not into the chug scene. I respect the chugs, but I don't know. I gotta enjoy this.
I'm looking at a happy 6.5 as well.
Oh, nice. Do you think is that about average for the hazy IPAs, or do they get a lot stronger?
No, I think it kind of varies. It really depends. I've seen some as high as 10 or 11%, but typically they hover around 6.5 to 8%. Typically 8.5 or 9, I would even say, probably 8.5.
Nice.
So about 6.5 to 8.5 is what I would like to call the standard. From what I see out here in the Midwest, but then again, it really varies by brewery. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the go-to percentage that a lot of breweries are shooting for.
I'm trying to see what this one is. Yeah, 6.5% as well.
Yeah,
not bad.
That's what I like to call the happy medium. That's a little bit more bang for your buck, but you're not going to be having to call a cab home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a nice afternoon sipping beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Morning beer.
Let me check in on this. this screen here, see how it's going on the pages.
Yeah.
Again, I'm really excited that we started this Drinking Buddies. For those out there that are interested, if you are a craft beer lover and somebody that enjoys beer, we'd love to have you on. We just look to connect with people and try new beers with people, see where you're at. You know, even if you're in another state or you're right down the block from, you know, either one of us, we'd be happy to go live with you and try out some beer. Of course, you got to bring your own beer to the party, but it's an enjoyable experience. I like being able to compare beers, so it's cool to hear from Phil what he's got going on over there. Phil, what are some of your notable breweries in your area?
Oh, well, we've got a lot of actually new ones that have been opening up around Los Angeles.
We've got actually LA Aleworks has a really good lineup. And then I should mention for the world's largest beer toast on National Beer Day, April 7th, I'm going to be at the Broxton Brewery in Westwood, California. They have like an amazing lineup, really good pale ale. Let's see. We actually just in Auburn, California, is Knee Deep Brewing. I don't know if you're familiar. They do an amazing. What was it? The Breaking Bad themed beer called what was it? Hops? No.
I think they changed the name, but it used to be called Breaking Bud. Is that right?
Breaking Bud. That's it.
Yeah.
So that kind of like that was kind of what I was talking about. If you like a really hoppy beer, that just like you could smell it just sitting there like wafting off. It was like an IPA that's just like really like wow strong. But again, I love I'm a big Breaking Bad fan, so I love the tie-ins. And they're actually going to be part of the virtual toast as well.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we can, towards the end of the episode here, we can roll through all the breweries that we have involved. I gave you that short list today to add to the event space as co-host, so I got to get a couple more over to you soon, but I'm really excited. It should be a lot of fun. I mean, there's nothing better than just bringing people together and having a beer, you know?
Good time. Although
I am very surprised that I'm having a beer right now. Yesterday was the Southside Irish Parade Day.
Wow.
In Chicago, did you go to? Did they do the whole thing with the Green River?
They did. So they did that on Saturday where they dyed the river green. The real celebration, however, and this is arguable, but anybody here on the South Side can attest to it. The South Side has its own separate celebration. Typically, it's a week before the weekend of St. Patty's Day, but this year it fell on St. Patty's Day for the first time in a very, very, very long time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool that it fell on that day. This celebration is just a gathering of community for people to come together, enjoy beer, enjoy dancing and music, and just sit there and enjoy the parade. Thankfully, the weather was very nice. I think it was closer to 60, about 50, 60 degrees yesterday.
Nice.
It was
80 in Los Angeles.
Don't rub it. You know what? 50 to 60 degrees in Chicago is like 80 in Los Angeles. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
That much.
Good outdoor
drinking weather.
Yeah. It was a good day. It was a good day for beer. I made some rookie mistakes, of course. I ended up being asleep by 5 o'clock, but.
No.
Yeah, it was.
I have a question. What's your opinion on the green beer? Because I was posting some silly memes yesterday on Beer Goals, and people were giving some pushback about craft beer and green beer going together. I'm up for anything. Anything beer you want to put food coloring in it, whatever. But I know some people.
It's festive. The way I think about beer and just anything in general is live and let live. I'm a firm believer in that. Live and let live. Let people do what they do. If you wanna piss green later on during the day, you're more than welcome to. I've had my fair share of green beer in the past, and I don't go out seeking it out, or nor do I ask for it. If somebody hands me one, then I'm not going to say no.
There you go.
but I'm not going to go out of my way for some green beer. So it's festive. I think it's a festive thing.
Yeah,
why not?
Do I think it goes hand in hand with craft beer? Not necessarily, because I know how the craft beer community can be.
Exactly, yeah.
But like I said, live and let live, man. If it's festive, I'm all about it. I'm all about community and just having fun. So
exactly. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. That's right.
Boom.
So let's talk a little bit more about California. So again, some other notable breweries in the area that that you favor or that you like.
I actually just this past weekend in Inglewood, California, which is not too far from me.
Good buddy of mine lives over there, and we went over to Tortuga Brewing in Inglewood.
It's been on my
list for a while. I think they're fairly new
brewery, and
they have like an amazing lineup. Because sometimes you go to a new brewery and it's it's like okay,
but this was like each beer was like one after the other.
I'll have to look up some of
the selections here. If I go to my Untappd profile to remember, because I had quite a few beers, quite a few samplings there of their lineup. So my memory might be a little hazy. Speaking of hazies, they had one that's like sticking out. I got to remember the name of it here. The Marzen was really good.
Got some people rolling in.
Let's see.
Guys, I want to see some comments for the people that are rolling in. Let me see some comments. Again, this is our first episode of Drinking Buddies, so I think it's important that we get people involved. This is open to the rest of the community. Anybody that wants to be involved, we open it up to you guys in the future. If you want to be on the next episode, we'd love to have you on. Drink some beer, talk about your local favorite brew pubs or breweries. We're all about sharing the knowledge and sharing the wealth and
That's right.
enjoying each other's company. So, you guys are welcome to invite yourselves. So,
Tortuga Brewing Company out of Inglewood, California, has an amazing fruit beer. It's a Mai Tai Pa. It makes notes of like pineapple, orange, coconut, cherry juice. I'm a big fan of fruit beers. I don't care. I'll own it. I love fruit beers. It was really delicious and memorable out of a night of many tastings.
When you love fruit beers, do you mean that you love? Why do you love fruit beers? Do you like fruit beers that are typically on the sweeter, fruity, less carbonated side, or do you like beers that are subtly fruity but still taste like a beer? Or somewhere in between, or all across the board?
Probably somewhere in between, yeah. I mean, there's some stuff you just taste like you're drinking like pineapple juice. And I'm like, you're right, it's not really like a beer. But something kind of actually like how this Hazy is actually able to combine like the hops with that fruit like layer over it. So I think a good beer, you're probably right, is like it kind of mixes the both, walks that line.
Sure. Yeah. I think as far as fruit beers go, if you want to get technical, one of my favorite fruit beers is actually from Abita, which is a Louisiana brewery. Purple Haze.
Yeah.
Purple Haze is a raspberry lager.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite fruit beers. Probably the original fruit beer that I've ever had is Purple Haze. And I've turned so many people on to Purple Haze because it's still, you catch a lot of the raspberry, but it's not overwhelming. It still very much tastes like a beer. Tastes like a lager.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy about that particular beer, or fruit beers in general. But then again, I have had my fair share of stuff just kind of like this. What I'm drinking right now, it's like a glass of juice, almost. It's bordering on not a beer at all. But
right.
I think hazy IPAs are where that middle ground is, because it gets into the realm of executing hop aroma and hop flavor and hop profiles, while also having those fruity notes on the mid palate to wash it away, and then a very smooth mouthfeel on the back end to just make you want to go back for another sip.
It kind of leaves you with a beer taste and aftertaste, but then you like wash it down with the fruit taste. So it's a good combination.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
Yeah. So over here in my area, I'll do it on my end as well. A couple notable breweries. Obviously, there's some breweries on Western Avenue. A lot of my followers already know those. Let's see if I can push out a little bit further. So over in an area called Willow Springs, which is more of a rural type area, there is Imperial Oak, which is actually underneath a viaduct of a bridge over by a stream, kind of in the like a wooded area in the suburbs. Kind of off the beaten path, and they do have a huge following. A lot of people enjoy going there in their neighborhood, and it's a very, very cool space. I hope to do some sort of segment there soon. But so Imperial Oak is the name of that brewery. Another brewery, I'd probably say the next batch of closest breweries would be in Tinley Park, which is Hellstorm Brewing, who's been around for a long time. Sound Growler Brewing, who's been around for about 2 or 3 years, closer to 2 years now, and they're kind of like a metal, like a rock metal band, like metal music type brewery.
That reminds me of Phantom Carriage in LA.
I believe out in Carson, California. Reminded me of horror and metal themes. And they specifically do sour beers. So if you like horror, metal, and sour beers, that's a place for you.
All right. We've got people filtering in and out. Let's see if we can get them to stay on the next run. How can we educate people? Let's talk about your first craft beer.
Wow, my first craft beer.
Well, I got into craft beer in college. I went to school in Ithaca, New York. And regionally they had, of course, Ithaca beer, which is really good. That was like the super local beer. They had an apricot wheat, which I fell in love with. And as a college student, that paired really well with my dinner, which was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then, of course, in upstate New York, Saranac beer, which was huge, which I don't think you can get outside of like the Northeast. So those beers there, I just remember going to a bar and being like, oh, you mean the stuff we use for beer pong is like that's not beer, like there's actually like good beers, you know? So yeah, definitely Saranac was really my first love with craft beer.
Okay. Saranac.
How about you? What were you into?
Well, and this goes without saying, I guess it doesn't. My parents, and this is a big history lesson in Try Beer Guy. My parents were big early supporters of, at the time when I was growing up and not of age, they were big fans of what was a new brand then, which was Sam Adams. So it was new to the market around that time in the Midwest and Chicago area. So Sam Adams, Boston Lager, they drank a lot. Early Goose Island was they were big supporters of them. So my first craft beer, when I did become of legal age, I was drinking, I think 312 might have been, I don't really recall my first, to be quite honest with you. For whatever reason, Boston Lager and 312 are my two standouts, just because that's what my parents drink. But 312 is a wheat beer. I don't know if you guys get a hold of that out there in LA.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
So Goose Island 312, which Goose Island just rebranded their whole entire beer line. So it's looking totally different now, but it had the same label for the longest time. 312 is wheat beer. And I recall thinking, I didn't know that beer could taste anything other than what Miller Lite or Bud Light or Coors Light was. So naturally I flocked to wheat beer, and then I got into, and then around the time that Revolution actually came out with their Anti-Hero IPA. Okay. In retrospect, not that long ago, probably about maybe about 7 or 8 years ago now, somewhere around there. I had tried that, and that was my first IPA. I can tell you that much. That was my first IPA. As far as my first craft beer goes, I for whatever reason, want to say 312. So it was actually a wheat beer, which coincidentally is not my favorite style now. It's actually...
Right. I was really into wheat beers for a long time. That was like my go-to beer. It was like, wheat beer is like, something different. You said there wasn't like Miller and Coors and all that. So I was like, I'll never a wheat beer. It's kind of like, I think I burn out on them.
You know what it is? Yeah, it's easy to burn out on them. You know what it is wheat beer actually gives you a hangover. I think it's the immense amount of yeast typically that's in. The yeast in combination with the wheat, I think it's the wheat overall that gives you a hangover, even more so of a hangover than a lot of other beers will.
I'll have to make note of that. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan. I think that's when I stopped. Actually, that's when I learned that. That's when I stopped drinking so many wheat beers, because I used to pound wheat beers like they were white.
Yeah.
And so that, for whatever reason, again, is my big standout. Do you have a first brewery experience?
What's that?
First brewery experience.
Oh, wow. First brewery experience.
Well, probably actually, I didn't actually get to taste the beer. I can remember going in Utica, New York. They had the Utica Club Brewing, which actually I believe is owned by Saranac.
I actually did a tour of the brewery. I just remember like the smell of the brewery and like
probably at the time I wasn't that into it, but I remember thinking it was really cool, like learning how they like made the beer. And that's probably the first brewery I went to, first actual drinking brewery experience. Wow. Maybe in California, like going to Stone, like going down to Stone in San Diego and seeing the big brewery tour. Probably the first real big brewery tour I did. I want to say probably Stone. We actually went to like a brewery and did the whole tour, and like the whole taste started getting into like the tasting flight situation. So
yeah.
And then,
I remember we did the beer bus,
which you actually go brewery
hopping, which is insane. If you guys have done any
beer buses
in Chicago.
Beer bus, huh?
Yeah, like you get on the bus and they take you from brewery to brewery. You do a flight at each brewery. And I think you might even some of them you do like a tour.
Okay. I finally pushed these comments over, and I got them rolling in probably from a couple minutes ago. So I'm like trying to get caught up here. We got people rolling in and out. For the people that are watching, I want to know the same. What was your first craft beer? What was your first brewery experience? Let's say I just want to get some people involved. Let's see what they have to say. I think it's important we get those people involved. In the meantime, I think we'll just talk about some more brewery stuff. My first brewery experience was, I want to say that it was Revolution. I believe it was Revolution at the time.
Nice.
Which I had gone to their brew pub and not their actual brewery. No, I did go to the brewery. So it was actually, so my mother's great. She loves craft beer. She's like another drinking buddy of mine. She's fantastic. We visited the brew pub Revolution in Logan Square area, which is north side Chicago area. And we went to the brew pub. We got some food. Fantastic food. If you ever go to a brewery, you're always expecting good food.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm actually going to correct myself. My first brewery experience was Three Floyds.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Three Floyds was my first. Went to the brew pub over there. Had some amazing food. They've always had amazing food. of course, tried some beer. And then my second experience then was Revolution. But we went to the brew pub and then the tap room, actually, where you could veer or see into the actual production facility in which the brewers were working. So, and it was at the time. Yeah. It was at the time. It was massive, and it's even more massive now. If you've ever seen Revolution, it's probably one of the bigger names here in Chicago.
It's always exciting to see them making the beer that you love, you know?
Right. Oh, definitely, easily. I think as far as big breweries, and this can lead into the next question for you, Phil.
Sure.
Big breweries here in Chicago, notable breweries that have been around since the start, the real public start of the craft beer revolution is obviously Goose Island, who's been a pioneer here in Chicago for a long time. Goose Island, Revolution, Half Acre, Lagunitas has been here for a long time. And then I would say Three Floyds has had even a impact. Even though they're not, their production facility isn't located here in Chicago, they still had a presence in Chicago. So I'd say those are the 5 most notable brands here in Chicago in terms of exposure.
Yeah.
So how about on your end? Do you have 5 notable?
Southern California, obviously, Stone Brewing. And I know it's controversial community, but Golden Road Brewing. I know it started out as craft, even though they got bought out. They still make good beer. So.
As well. They're owned by the same company, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, those are some of the bigger ones. But there's like so many like the microbrews I've been focused on recently.
Ballast Point at all? Are they
Ballast Point? That's San Diego. That's down. So San Diego, Lagunitas, Ballast Point, Stone. I think actually they started in Denmark, but McKellar has a brewery in San Diego. They're technically a California brewer now because it's got McKellar San Diego. And they're actually delicious.
Wow, okay. McKellar, I've heard the name. McKellar's pretty cool.
Yeah. They're one of the ones like you can go through the lineup and like each one is like really good, like nothing disappoints. They're a little pricey. I went to their tasting room and they'll send it back. But it's like totally worth it for craft beer lovers because it's like they nail like each selection.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with larger breweries, it's hard to give a lot of your attention to them. At least from my perspective, it's hard to give my attention to them because they're so readily available. I think the market, at least here, I'm only speaking here, I don't know how it is over there in LA, and I'm sure it's generally the same. But the craft beer market thrives on exclusivity, so a lot of people want what they can't readily get.
Right.
Which I think is a point to make about craft beer, and it's something that I think deters a lot of other people from craft beer. So for those out here that are watching, and I know a lot of people rolling in right now are non-craft beer people. So to them, from my perspective, I'll say, and Phil, you can say your piece afterwards. From my perspective, I think that if you are open to trying new beer, which I think everybody should be, start out with those bigger brands and start out with the style that you know that you like, and then branch off subtly from there. And that's my only advice to you.
That's right. Just find the thing you like. We got into it through wheat beers. One of my favorites was an apricot wheat. Get in with like the fruit flavors, wheat. And then find the beers that you love. That's what it's all about.
Right. Subtly branching off, like I said.
I actually have to head out in a second, but we want to just kind of wrap it up, and we'll kind of have a cheers. The first episode of Drinking Buddies.
Yeah. First episode. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hazy IPAs. Next week we'll do maybe we'll do something a little bit darker.
Yeah, that'd be good. I love the dark beers. I love all beers.
All beers are good. If it's right, it's good. Real quick, for those that are watching that stayed to the end of this, we appreciate it. Join us on the next Drinking Buddies. You are invited. All you have to do is message either of us. We will put you on the list. You will be invited to join us in drinking some delicious craft beer right here live.
Bring a beer.
Yeah, bring a beer along. We'd love to have you on. Just shoot us a message, either Phil over here at Beer Goals, and for my followers, make sure to follow Phil over here at Beer Goals. Follow my page as well.
Likewise.
Shy Beer
Guy.
Yep. Real quick, we'll talk about the beer toast.
Yeah.
7th, National Beer Day. Phil and I have coordinated together to attempt the world's largest virtual beer toast. For everybody watching, the world's largest virtual beer toast, and you can be involved. All you have to do is check your local listings. No, check your local
beer listings.
You can actually go to the event page right here on Facebook. It's the world's largest virtual beer toast.
Yeah, check Shy Beer Guy or check Beer Goals event listings. It'll be right there. Just RSVP. You'll get a reminder. The idea is that we're all going to toast a beer at the same time. So check your local time when that would be. 6 o'clock on the West Coast, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock Chicago time. We've got breweries lined up from all around the country. Hopefully, people are going to be tuning in from around the world. Cheers with us. We'll put a picture of your beer, your local craft beer, hashtag beer the world together.
That's right. Yep. Anything you do is a big help. We really, really appreciate it. We're attempting a world record here, and we need you guys. We need our beer-loving people. So anyway, cheers to that. Oh, no. I'm all sticky. All right. Cheers to that.
All right.
Cheers, Brady.
Cheers, Brady.
Phil, to Drinking Buddies.
Drinking buddies.
All right.
Talk soon.
Cheers.
Prost.